Hey everybody, this is Mitch Ferraro from F Street. I hope everyone's having a great day out there today. As always, I'm super excited to have this conversation. I'm here with one of our lead eval analysts, Brett Jump. I'm super excited to have this conversation today because he is a huge component in our underwriting process. And honestly, making sure that all of our deals have good assets that we're loaning out on. Brett is like the guy that makes sure that these deals are good deals. So a lot of pressure's on Brett because he's got to make sure that these deals are actual good deals. Also, too, I wanted to put in, listen, this is called capital gains. And if you want to see real gains, you got to check this guy out in the gym because he is throwing up weight all the time. It's really cool to see. I'm just a little guy. He's always giving me tips on what I can do to get a little bigger like him. But yeah, so Brett, man, thank you so much for coming on today. I really appreciate it. Brett, before we kind of like jump into just the eval and what you kind of do and what you're seeing and how do you make sure deals are good deals, just give us a little background on yourself and kind of like why F Street? Why'd you come to F Street?
Sure.
And like how long you been here?
Yeah, definitely. So I've been here almost 3 years to the date now.
Okay.
So it's been going really good. I kind of started out my career path when I graduated from Cardinal Stritch University and got into real estate. I was working for a team that had 2 brokers on it that did multi-million deals as low as $60,000 listings they had, and they had like $5 million listings. Yeah. So all across the board. I did transaction coordination for them, and then I did marketing for them. Yep. Kind of got my feet wet, kind of see what the industry was, and I just got really interested in it and kind of went from there. So I got my real estate license after that. I've had that for 7 years now.
Okay, cool.
I've been with Realty Executives for 5 of that. I was with Shorewist prior to that.
Okay.
But, yeah, it's been going really good. I love real estate.
Yeah.
It's a different challenge every day.
Yeah.
It keeps me going, and you got to stay with the trends and to stay out of the game. But it's great. F Street's been great to me. I love it here, and I have no plan on leaving anytime soon.
Yeah. It's a great time to be part of F Street. I know a lot of people, when they see these podcasts, we continually talk about our growth, and we see a lot of loan applications coming in, and we see just a lot of demand for our hard money product, which is basically on the side of the business that you really focus on. And, just kind of diving right into it, kind of give us an understanding of, as an evaluator analyst and kind of looking at deals and making sure that these deals are good deals. Give us an understanding of, something comes across your desk from the underwriting team to make sure now it's your turn to make sure that these deals are good deals. Give us a little glimpse of what that looks like for you and what you're trying to do here at F Street. Sure.
So I'm kind of like the first line of defense. They get a borrower that applies, then it comes straight to me. I'm diving in. We kind of base all of our loans off of like 65% loan to value.
Yep.
So if those numbers are already thrown off when it gets to me, either I'm pushing it back or when it gets to the underwriter, they already got their first red flag. Like,
sure.
We really got to dive into this and make sure they're actually getting a really good deal on it.
Yep.
So what I do is I make a CMA or a comparable market analysis.
Yep.
And what that is me finding 4 to 5 comps within a close proximity with similar attributes.
Yep.
And then we kind of take the average of that, and I make it kind of like a mini appraisal, and I'll make adjustments for like bedrooms, bathrooms, and stuff like that.
Yep.
And then I'll come to a conclusion with a value of the property. But to get there is kind of a process. So we lend all across the country now.
Yep.
I would say a good majority of our loans are still in Wisconsin, but at least 50% of them are outside of the state.
Sure.
And we got markets that we're really comfortable with, like the Milwaukee, obviously, but then you got Chicago, and you got, Cleveland, Detroit, Florida, North Carolina. We're kind of all over there. So we're getting really comfortable with all the different, areas. But the first thing that I do is I kind of want to get an idea of the trends for the market and the demand in the area. So what I'll do is first I'll bring up the property. I'll verify the property details to make sure what they're telling us is what it actually is.
Yep.
And make sure that conforms with what the market is.
Yep.
So like if we get a property that's 1 bedroom, 1 bathroom, there's very few of those in the Milwaukee market or the Chicago market. So, unique properties are also they always come off as a red flag in the beginning too, because you want to find 3 or 4 properties that are similar to make sure that there's a good demand for it. So what I do is I'll bring up a street view and I'll make sure the neighborhood's a good neighborhood, and that it's gonna it's growing and it's gonna get multiple people interested in the property. So I'm just looking at are there a lot of vacant lots? Are there rundown buildings? Sure. Maybe it's a nice neighborhood and there's a lot of landscaping and, houses well taken care of. So I'll kind of start off there, and that will make me decide how aggressive that I want to be with determining my ARV.
Sure.
So
and ARV is our after repair value.
After repair value.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah. So, like in our good markets, and where I'm seeing a lot of fix and flips, like if we're in like Minneapolis or Indianapolis, they're hot markets. There's a lot of competition. So I know to get to our LTV, we're going to have to be at the top and where it's growing, and we want to be in those markets so we can be more aggressive.
Right.
And on the other side of it, like if we're in like Gary, Indiana or Flint, Michigan, when the markets are kind of declining, we're a little more conservative on the values.
Sure.
Just to make sure that there is a demand there for that. But what I'm looking for is square footage. The first thing I would say is the style of property.
Sure.
If you got a ranch, you want to find ranches. If you got a Cape Cod, and so on. But what I look for is bed bath counts that are similar, square footage, style of property, lot size, year build, and so on and so forth. And then I want to stay, if it's in a metro area, probably like a quarter to a half a mile out when I'm looking for comps.
For sure.
We do get some rural properties when I know I have to go out, 4 or 5 miles, and it's all just dependent on the type of property and the location of it. And again, those are more unique, riskier deals for us. If there's no comps for 5 miles, then your buyer pool is a lot smaller, right? So I'll go through, I'll make my comp reports, and I'll send it to underwriting, and they'll see all the comps I selected, and I think we might be able to throw a little picture in there of one of my reports. I don't know if I can kind of pop it up quick here, but so these are the reports that I make, and you'll see here that there is the map with the comps and the subject over here with the comps I selected and the adjustments I made to come to my ARV. But that'll go to underwriting, and they'll see my adjustments, and they'll see the demand, and I'll make notes like it's a strong market, the days on market are low. There's a lot of rehabs in the area. It's selling quick, and you're getting top dollar for stuff to kind of make him feel good about going forward with the loan.
Helping the underwriter get some more information on if it's a strong market, if it's a declining market. And what's really nice too is that, so one of the reasons why a lot of borrowers come to us is because Brett's basically doing like an in-house appraisal, right? Like you're doing it in-house. We don't have to go out and order it. We don't have to have someone go to the actual property. Like we're doing everything with technology, and with Brett's background of being a real estate agent and having that background, it's a great way that he knows that he's going on the MLS, or we use another piece, Richer Values, where we literally are looking at real comparable properties. And I'm assuming a lot of the data that you're getting is either from a tax record, right? So if someone's telling us it's a 5.2, but the tax record shows it as a 3.1, red flag, right? Like maybe something else is going on here. So I think it's really cool that, Brett's providing a lot of information to our underwriters, because then our underwriters basically have to validate a bunch of other stuff, not only what's going on with the property, but what's also going on with the borrower. So you're kind of really helping out, saying like, hey, this is a deal, or maybe, or no, we're not going to do it. So,
and there are times that when it gets to me and the LTV is so far off, and I'm confident with it that it's almost a hold at that point. I'll go tell the underwriter, and they'll be like, "Yeah, just kick that back, and we'll move on to another file."
Sure.
So most of our loan, like I feel like the main contributing factor to our loans that we're lending on is the LTV, and making sure they're getting, they're going to be making at least 30% profit on the property.
Yeah, right. If the deal's skinny, right, there's no meat, we are not going to be loaning out on that, because at the end of the day, we're taking in about 400 to 400 loan applications a month. We're loaning out to about 40 of those per month. So we're at about a 9 to 10% rate of the amount that we'll loan out on. 90%. We're not loaning to them, right? Because of these specific red flags that are going on, and we're saying, no, we're not doing it. I want to see if you have any type of insight. Like, where do you feel like borrowers get it wrong about like what they say something is, and then like you're looking at it and being like, no, this is not correct. Or even on that flip side, where like, no, this borrower is kind of off. This thing is actually more than what they're kind of telling us of what the ARV might be. So what is your insight of like, why do you think borrowers might get it right or wrong when they're kind of bringing deals to us to loan out to them?
Sure. So I mean, there's different levels of borrower knowledge, right? There's beginners, you know, and there's people that have done a couple, and there's people that do it full time. So there's definitely different tiers. And, you know, after you've done a couple, you get it pretty quick. But like the beginners, there's a lot of them that I have to I give them feedback, and I tell them why this is, so they can learn from it too.
Absolutely.
You know, but when they're looking for comparables, sometimes, I mean, there's people in the industry too, like some real estate agents, you know, that try to push deals and stuff that aren't giving them the best comparables in the market, not taking the time to go through and verify stuff. So what they're doing is they're just going to pick like, oh, this house sold next door and it sold for $500,000. Okay. And this was 3,000 square feet with a finished basement, a 2-car garage and the ADU above it. And they got a ranch next door. And the ranch is 900 square feet, unfinished basement, 1 bathroom, and they're like, well, that sold for $500,000. This will probably sell for $400,000 at least, right? It's like, those aren't comparable. Sure, it might be a good market. We got to determine that and see if it makes sense to make value adds to it. You know, if you want to add bedrooms and bathrooms to finish the basement, but you can't just go off the highest sold. You know, that was right next door to your property. You got to get a couple comps, and you want them to be similar in style to that property, because there's always outliers. So
and that's great too, right? If you got a house next door that sold for $500,000 and you're fixing up this one next door, and you say, after I fix it all up, it's going to be worth $325, maybe that's a little more realistic, but you know that the market's selling in that area, right? You just had a property sell next door. And that's what you're also looking for too, right? You're looking for days on market. You're looking, are they sitting for a while? Are they selling really quickly? Are they going over asking, right? Like, so all these kind of indicators, as you know, you're kind of using your agent background to make sure that these deals are true deals when you're actually looking at them. When a borrower is kind of like, you know, coming to us and saying, hey, I've got this deal, because you brought this up, I think this is a great point. Like, they may not be our borrower right away because maybe they just don't understand, but, you know, you're giving them feedback on how to go maybe find the next deal that maybe then they can come back to us as an actual real deal. So I think my point is that I want you to kind of touch on a little bit is like, we're not just throwing if you're a beginner borrower, we're not saying, no, you're not going to borrow to us. We're not going to borrow to you. We actually just want to see you have a good deal, right? Like,
we want everybody successful in this transaction. If they're not successful, we're not successful. And, you know, we all want to make money here. That's what we're doing. We're educating each other. And a lot of the times the feedback I give them is with their scope of works, because I'm reviewing their scope of works to make sure what they're doing is in line with what the market is. Because, you know, there's different tiers, different market, like the Detroit market is going to be a lot different than if you're, I don't know, in the Shorewood market in Milwaukee or something like that. You know, there's different levels of, you know, construction, and you want to make sure you're staying in line with that too. But going back to the other point, like on the contrary of that, with I said house next door, a lot of what other people are doing, they're in a metro area. Like if they're in Detroit and they're going out like a mile to find comps because there's nothing updated, you know, in a quarter or half a mile. You can't be pulling comps that are a mile away. It's saying that if there's nothing being updated right there, there's a reason for that.
Correct.
And, you know, it's a huge red flag, and it's definitely too far out to go in a metro. You want to stay a quarter to half a mile.
Because obviously one block in real estate, one block can completely change a market, 100%. No matter where you're at in the country. One block could go from a $500,000 area to a $200,000 area very instantly. It's just how the markets work. I think one of the things that I just kind of love about real estate in general is like what you're kind of talking about, trying to, you know, see everything every day, see how the markets are trending. I kind of want to touch on what you kind of feel and see as an agent from markets trending. I know you're specifically, you know, kind of focused here in Milwaukee. What are you kind of seeing just in that residential market from just trends on how things are going currently?
Yeah, I mean, I kind of looked just some statistics up today just to kind of see where stuff is trending. Right now, we got like an average day on market of 19 days.
Okay.
So, I mean, that's making you feel pretty good about properties on the market. You know, you're putting something, they're selling within a month. That means the market's strong. It's good.
Right.
If the property's in decent condition, it's probably going to even sell quicker than that.
Right. And if you're pricing it correctly, right?
That's the biggest thing too.
Yes.
Pricing is also one of the main contributors to that. So what I have here is the median sale price is up 5.9%.
Yep.
So there's 2 months of inventory on the market.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, listings are down 6.8% and sale price is up 5.9%.
Okay.
So that's saying we need more properties on the market right now.
We need more
listings
inventory.
are down, sale price is up. That means people are looking for properties to buy, and there's not enough properties out there, and they're selling quick. They're selling in 19 days.
Yep.
The market's good. It's strong. I feel like if you put a nice property to market right now, you're still getting multiple offers on the property. The interest rates are good.
Yep.
The buyer pool is strong.
Yep.
And if you stay in line, with the market standards, you're not going to have a problem, getting a return on your property.
One of the things that I'm just noticing across the country, I'm also a real estate agent here in Wisconsin, and being an agent, you have to be a part of the NAR and the WRA and your local real estate association. And one thing that I try to follow quite often is just what's going on in the market in general across the country. And one thing that I'm really seeing, which is crazy, it's not really crazy, it makes a lot of sense, is medium price point homes in the Midwest selling quickly, higher price point homes in the Midwest taking a little longer to sell. On the coast and in the Sun Belt, luxury homes, higher priced homes selling very, very quickly. The medium price point homes are taking a little longer to sell, which in my mind, very easy enough is to say those with money are moving to the coast and down south. The hardworking blue collared person is more concentrated in the Midwest. So it's like, if you have a property, so I'm sure like if we see a property that we're seeing that's in the Midwest, medium price point, ARV looks good, the type of materials that they're going to put into that home is in line with, we're not throwing up, quartz countertops everywhere and expensive backsplash, but maybe just, a nice little granite countertop with, nice cabinets, box cabinets, and that'll sell very, very quickly, like in the Midwest. Out on the coast, maybe that's going to sit a little longer, but maybe if it's on the high end rehab on the coast, it may sell a little quicker. So I think just understanding those trends, and even being able to provide borrowers with that type of information, like, hey, maybe you should try to find this type of deal in this area, is always something that, makes me feel like we can help educate, but also we have an understanding of what the market's like. So
definitely.
Before we get out of here, I just want to say thank you so much for your time today. I really, really appreciate it. Again, Brett is one of the main components in our underwriting. He makes sure that our underwriters have a good understanding of what the deal looks like from an asset perspective, to make sure that what they're buying the property at, what the scope of work looks like, what they're going to sell the property at after they do all that work. Brett does an amazing job of making sure our underwriters feel comfortable with that. So, Brett, man, thank you so much.
Hey, thank you. Thanks for having me on.
Yeah,
here.
man, I really appreciate the time. I think Brett and I are going to go get a sweat on right now in the gym after this. So I just want to say thank you, everyone, so much for the time today. Again, if you ever have any questions on anything that we're doing here at F Street, please don't hesitate to reach out to me, Mitch at fstreet.com. I hope everyone has a wonderful day, and thanks so much for watching.